What's up, guys? Welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. I'm, as always, your grateful host, Cam Williamson. I am so happy to be back with you. It was a great weekend. Had fun chilling with the family, hanging out, and I've been just itching to get back to work. Last week was a little difficult. Nothing major. Flat tire. Interesting enough, the flat tire that I got, I took it to like 2 or 3 different shops for tires. They all said the same thing. We have never seen this before. I said, well, you've never met Cam Williamson before. If you guys hear people say, yeah, that's my luck. Kind of shit. Yeah, that's my luck. Sure, that's me. Every time anything happens, people are always like, damn, I've never seen that. I've never heard of that. That's like, damn, that's wild. Yeah, I had a fucking bolt like that big, went through my tire, and then was so big that as the tire kept circulating, it went through the rim as well. And I had my family in the car. My wife was in the front seat. My daughter was in the back seat. And like, for those that don't know, I have anxiety, and recently I've had anxiety while driving. More on the highway as speed picks up, and I've had this like crazy fear that I was going to get a flat tire and get this huge blowout and cause a rollover and all this stuff. So when I had the flat, which I'd never had one before, I've helped fix a few for people that I knew that didn't know how, but I've never had one personally in a car that I was driving. So as soon as it happened, I went, oh, that's a flat tire. Like I heard that, doont, and then it just went, so I'm like immediately like, okay, what's my immediate place that I can turn off here? I get out of the car, I look, nothing. Nothing's lowered, like no tires or no issues. My wife gets out, she's looking, she goes, you hear that? I'm like, no, I don't hear anything. Get back in the car, start driving. Now it's a little bigger. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? So I'm like, hey, let's take it back to the house. We'll take your car to take the baby in, whatever. She was off that day. Thank God. It was just a random day that she was off and happened to be with us. So take it back, and I'm like, nah, man, fuck that. I can make it right there to that tire shop. If something's wrong with it, let me get there. So I had already taken my car home. I parked it. I was here like 5 minutes, and I was like, nah, man, fuck that. Just follow me over there. I get within a mile of the fucking tire shop, and I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, all right, no. I said, get the baby off the road. They were following me. So get the baby off the road, pull in. So I pulled in. Fucking look at it. It's completely flat. I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay, yeah. Saw that coming. I mean, I knew what I was asking for when I took the trip down. Because we called our tow company, and they were, like, going to take forever. So I was like, what the fuck? All right, whatever. Get out. Tell the, wife, take the baby in, whatever. We call. We think that they're going to tow my car right down to the, like, a mile down the road to the thing. Nope. Dude comes, changes my tire, puts a donut on because I don't have a fucking tire iron either, which was awesome because I could have just done it myself and I'd have gone right down the road. My buddy Thomas pulls up to just hang out with me while I'm waiting on the dude to change the tire. And he's the one that realized, he's like, God bless. He's like, you got a whole ass hole in your rim that bolt's sticking through. So when they popped the tire off, he pulled the bolt out. I'll try to put a picture in here. It's crazy. And I was like, yeah, fucking cool. So I've been pretty much home. I've been grounded for the last, 4 or 5 days, I think. 2 of those was a weekend, so my wife and we hung out with the baby, but we got massive snow Friday night. So everything was kind of locked down Saturday. So we were for real just chilling. Not much is going on in the world in general. Russia, Ukraine are still doing their thing. Seems like the Ukraine's still holding on pretty tough. It looks like Tom Brady announced he is going to come back for his, 28th season or something like that. So that's cool. No shade, man. I, as a 30-year-old skateboarder, have learned to live by a lesson. Maybe it's a little too conservative, but like, you know when it's time to pick up the board and take it home for the day. You have that feeling in your body where you go, dude, I'm about to get fucking bodied. If I don't chill right now, like I'm not feeling my best self here, let me just pick it up and live to fight another day, right? He knows that as an athlete. especially as an older athlete, he knows what he's able to take. He still takes the hits that he's going to have to take next season. He took them last season. So he's got a good compass to go by. So I trust the man's word. Obviously, in my opinion, he's arguably one of the 2 or 3 best to ever do it. I still hold Peyton Manning in higher regards, even though it's kind of like, I know he doesn't have the same championships and all that, but I'm just talking about being a positional quarterback on the field. I think maybe it's just I appreciate Eli's style more, where he's on the fly calling audibles, and this is back in his prime days, where he ran that field. He was the definition of a field general. Not saying Tom Brady's not. Tom Brady's also done what he's done with much better teams around him. Not hating on Patriots fans or anything like that. I don't need shade from Boston. I love you guys. I don't know. Tom Brady, maybe it's where I grew up. He's a Michigan grad, and I grew up in the inner city of Columbus, Ohio. So it was like, okay, maybe it's that. I just don't like the guy. But I had family that adored him. My closest cousins growing up, they were huge Michigan fans, huge Tom Brady fans. Like, it was all about Tom Brady in Michigan for them. So, again, it's cool that he's going to come back. What caught my interest the most, obviously, and I'm sure most people don't really care about it by this point, was Pete Davidson kind of fired back at Kanye West with the whole Kim Kardashian thing. I guess it was one of Pete's friends leaked some texts between Pete and Kanye that was like, hey, man, it's Skeet, which is the name he was calling him in all these videos or whatever. And Kanye texted back, and I guess Pete goes, hey, let's, you want to meet up and talk about this shit like men? Because this shit that you're doing now is really toxic for not just, us. It sucks for us a lot, but your kids, man. Like, your kids are feeling some of this. I can tell you, as a man who I have, a step parent that spends more time with my daughter than I do. Her stepdad lives in her house with her. So the immediate, shock of that idea that another man is raising your kids, that is not an easy one for a real man to stomach. Now, life happens, and people get divorced, and people's upbringings are oftentimes not perfect. But I'm just saying, from Kanye's side, doing everything he's done to this point was all like a jealous ex type thing, trying to get his girl back. In my opinion, that's how he was acting. He was trying to send some tough guy vibes out to try to I don't know, maybe punk Pete a little bit to try to downplay him in Kim's mind. You got to remember, this is a toxic relationship. Those I'm familiar with. So the mind games on social media and posting pics up, new girls up and stuff and blowing them up on social media, all this is a game that they're playing. Now, Kim hasn't seemed to play as much. Now, I don't follow Kim Kardashian in any way. The only reason she's on my radar at all is because of Pete Davidson. But I want to make this known, and it's just an observation. Pete Davidson comes out in these conversations and goes, well, look, man, if you don't want to meet up and talk about this, then I'm just going to put it this way. You either knock it off with this shit, or I'm going to stop being so nice. Because I've been telling people at Saturday Night Live and hundreds of other comedians to leave you alone and chill because of your mental health and because of all this. I respect that. And he apologized for times that he went at him. But he was like, if you don't chill, I'm going to stop being nice. Well, then I went over just out of curiosity, and I went to Kanye's page, his Instagram, and he's got a picture that says divorce. And he's got all these corny-ass taglines that say divorce feels like waking up empty every morning. And he's got 100 of these, not hundreds. He's got 20 or 30 of these things written out. It's okay, I get it now. We have a genuine man struggling over a divorce that he's going through. He had a good thing, probably. He fucked it up being Kanye. She left, moved on, found somebody else, and he is not dealing with that well. Second picture he puts up, it just says dead, and I didn't even take the time to fucking read that. But he's talking about how he feels dead inside, and here's my new project. It's like, okay, Kanye. My guy, you are destroying your legacy harder than Brett Favre when he played for the Jets. It's like, yo, what are you seeking to accomplish out of this? What are you going to accomplish by attacking Pete Davidson, who you've already lost that battle 100 times over? At this point, people are losing respect even for you musically. Donda 2 was a pretty big flop. I don't know quite what that live thing was that he put on, where he like did the Apple streaming and he put it on all on his own. Apparently, there was some documentary that went out. I don't think that's doing well outside of people watching it just to see what it was, but the feedback I've heard is not great. Like, the audio was terrible, bunch of issues. I think we're seeing again the rise that we put people on in Hollywood, especially. We make people out to be, maybe we call them geniuses or, prodigies or, I don't know. We call people we give them these big, grandiose titles when they're so young. And it's like, man, Kanye, when he made, the Graduation album and all that, he was what, in his 20s? Early 20s? And then they start saying he's like a legend to music in general. Now, I get it. He produces a lot of music. I'm not crediting anything that Kanye's done, but I'm saying that's a lot to live up to at early 20s. You still have a whole lifetime to live. The man lost his mother. Like, he had shit that he went through. And he is a businessman. He does run businesses, and he did try to start families, and he does struggle with mental health. So all these things I can be empathetic towards, and some of it I can even be sympathetic towards. I've been in positions in my own life with my own mental health where I've seen it fit to go after people and, focus my manic episodes on them as a way to escape what I'm not willing to deal with. So again, I can understand that. You pick an enemy in a situation so that way you don't have to focus on the real situation, which is going on. So for Kanye, if he's having a hard time dealing with the fact that he's not seeing his kids as much as he wants to, and he wanted to downplay Kim as a mother, and I think everyone knows across the internet, even me as someone who doesn't follow the Kardashians, I know she's a great mother because I hear it everywhere, like all the time. They talk about Kim is everything Kim does is made with a plan to get back to her kids as quickly as possible. So that does lead you to believe either her and Pete Davidson are spending very little time together. She posts kind of a clapback post on Instagram going, whose car are we taking? And it was a picture of her and Pete kind of cuddled up on the floor looking like they're getting ready to go out. And there was a meme immediately under it. And I don't know, it was like, hey, we're going to fuck shit up. Whose car are we taking? Something like that. So, again, you see that they're poking fun back at him. I see it as this is a genuine kind of Harley Quinn Joker situation going on where now they're ready to hit the streets and go, you know what? Fuck this guy. Hey, if the world's going to know what it is and this is seeped into my kid's cipher, well, we're not going down looking like this. I think it's kind of a raw move in a good way for Kim to be doing this. I think it shows legitimacy in the relationship. I think if Pete was some, knockoff dude that she was just fucking with, I think she wouldn't be doing all this. You wouldn't see him. She wouldn't be posting him up. She's definitely not going to clap back at Kanye. Like, I think maybe it's getting more serious, and maybe Kanye picks up on that, and that's why this attack came on. You've already got Travis Barker and Courtney doing their shit. They just announced, what was it? I saw the headline that, like, Courtney was saying her new Hulu series will not be focused on her and Travis Barker. I think that's terrible promotion, but probably just the truth of the matter. Travis is a pretty private guy, and he's had a TV show in Meet the Barkers, which was still to this day one of my favorite shows ever as a fanboy of him. Meet the Barkers was awesome. So it's one of those situations where he said that was the detriment of one of his first marriages, other than there was obvious issues that were seen on television. But I think he knows better than to do that shit, where Courtney is used to that life and she knows how to like navigate it. She's done it for so long now. I just don't think that's in his wheelhouse of give a fuck. Which is odd because he has two, teenage kids now that are both trying to get in the industry. So I feel like that would be good PR, but that might also be the reason he wants it out of it. He's like, we're not going to do this. This is not going to be the detriment of my family again. So that is all, relatively unimportant. It's something for us to focus on. There's a lot of football talk going on right now, none of which I focus on whatsoever anymore. For me, I'm really trying to just learn every single day, what can I honestly do to improve my situation? So sometimes I've had to learn that to improve your situation, you have to learn to do nothing, rest, chill, kick back. When you're not able to move about, like I said, I had a car issue this week. When you're not able to get out and be as productive and knock shit out like you usually would, it kind of forces you into a hole. Now I'm talking as a mental health struggler and an addict. It can bring back certain memories of being confined. For me, I never, when I was younger, liked to be alone. It was always something where I would much rather be with a bunch of people because then I had people to enjoy life with. Not that I don't and cannot enjoy life alone, but I'm not one of those people that likes to sit quietly during a movie. Right? That's why I don't like going to movie theaters. Because if I'm going to a movie with someone, and I probably annoy the shit out of my wife with this, but any person that I would be with in my life, you have to be cool with a motherfucker that talks during a movie. Because I want to talk about it. I don't want to sit there and just stare at a fucking screen and then at the end of it be like, what'd you think? What'd you think? Oh, it's good, it's good. Why? Let's talk to each other. Now, don't ask me 100 times what's going on. Watch the fucking movie, right? If you can't do that, then I don't know. It wouldn't be meant to be, I guess. But it's one of those situations where I've been thinking about this shit a lot. Why is it a bad thing? We know that to our primal being, we are meant to be in communities and build groups, right? In order to be successful in anything, to build anything, to take the amount of time to learn and study and grow anything, it does take a lot of isolation. As you get older, you find that there's this weird mix in your life where, sure, there's a lot of things you can do, and there's a lot of things you should do. And I'm trying to be much better every year about doing more of the things I should do and less of the things I want to do all the time. I'm not great at it all the time, but it gets to the situation where when you learn to control, do I need to do this because I can? Or can I do something that I should do because I've made it aware in my cipher of being that that's the right decision to make? Sure, some people would just call that general maturity, and I can appreciate that. But at the same token, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, I would love to hear that there's people out there that got just a shitload of friends and you guys meet up on the weekends and, you still keep a real tight bond. But I think as you grow up and you get to be 30, if you're not a part of this rare group that stays in your hometown, you grow up with people, you stay locked in with them throughout their life, your kids grow up together and shit like that, and you break out of the system of a 9-to-5 job and you're not really going out and meeting people, you're not, interacting with coworkers and shit like that because you're building your own shit, it can kind of only lead you to remember fond times of the past. So it it gets sad sometimes, you know? As an adult who doesn't have a lot of interests in like the ways of the modern world, like I said, it's a stretch sometimes, as you guys could probably tell, for me to make these like breaking news things, because I'm a guy that would so much rather be out having lunch with my buddies. If you guys didn't see the vlog, I just put up a vlog of me and Thomas hanging out. Just hanging out and making content about stuff that we're actually doing. But life is so weird right now. And I feel like even though we're out of the quarantine, a lot of the mask mandates are lifted, a lot of the vaccine mandates are lifted and stuff like that. People were crunk about that type of shit. But we're all still staying at home, streaming, whatever the newest shit is. I keep seeing people talk about this Euphoria show. I'm hooked on the Wu-Tang Clan, an American Saga right now because, like I said, I haven't had shit to do. I can't go nowhere. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just in my own shell. Let me know. But it sucks. It sucks because you have a lot of time to reflect on life. And when you reflect on your life, you start to remember shit. Like for me, I covered a lot of my memories and a lot of my emotions with drugs and alcohol for my whole life. Mainly alcohol. So when, and especially for me, I think this is so important. If I can give you guys any lessons, I realized a couple months back, it was like when I was 18 years old, my life was a mess. I went to the military to try to fix my life. Even though it was still a mess back home, I had an opportunity that I could have stayed home and fixed a lot of shit. Instead, I got married and I ran away. So that was some responsibility that I think I had been avoiding for so long. I looked at it as I was pushed away. And sure, I think you could make some legitimate arguments for that, which I did for years. But at this stage in my life, it's like I'm not trying to make excuses for anything or anybody, including myself. I would just like to know what, if anything, could be rectified. Now, I've tried in different certain situations, which I've documented on this channel throughout the years. I've tried to live the most genuine and honest and heart-driven life that I can and fix situations and be kind to people who maybe I wasn't otherwise kind to in my past, or let people know how you feel about them and shit like that. And you can do those things. I think one of the best lessons that AA does teach you, and it's hard to make the distinction between the two, is you don't go back and try to make amends with people when it could cause you or them harm. Emotional, physical, obviously, spiritual, but like wrongs of the past, whether it was done by a human being or it was done by just universal timing, sometimes like I said, it's easy to pick an enemy and go, oh, I'm mad at that person because my life turned out this way. When in reality, you can look and go, well, every time I fucked up and I treated someone in a way that I wish I wouldn't, I was doing what I thought was best for, sure, myself, but you have to believe that most people make decisions going, there's other people that will benefit from this. And I learned that a lot, like when you watch the Wu-Tang, an American Saga on Hulu, it goes deep into like the crack epidemic and crack dealing and shit. And you're like, oh, every one of them had a reason that they were doing that. Most of these guys that do it have like disabled brothers and sisters at home. Their parents are working 2 jobs just to afford like the lowest level shit they can. So it's literally they have to do it, or their family is homeless and shit on the streets where there's rapists and shit, crackheads everywhere. And then, you go through your life too, and you know people like that. You know people that are still alive but have lost their lives to drugs and alcohol. And you watch them. Some of them are more functional than others. Some of them, work stable jobs and post pictures of their kids, but it's like, man, you ain't changed at all. And I'm constantly in this in-between state between like, man, there's so much that each person can offer to the world. I truly believe that. Each person holds so much inside of them that they offer, that they could contribute to this world. We think that it takes having 1 million subscribers or, work in a political office where you sign new bills into law or something like that to make real change. But people forget, and it's easy to forget when you're young, that like every encounter you have with a human being could be life-changing to somebody. Every time you choose to act selfishly, it could be life-changing for someone. Now, that could be good or bad, right? You could choose to invest in yourself, which could be seen as acting selfishly, and it could change your life. You could get the gear that you need to make the video that changes your life, or create the song that would eventually blow up to be one of the most iconic songs in history. Like, all these things, again, that was a Wu-Tang reference. It's one of these things where life is all about trial and error. When people give you advice, they're only giving you, this is my observation of the way things have played out. What I've learned to look at is, how many at-bats did you take? Are you giving me advice off a lesson you learned one time? And did you learn that lesson, move forward, and your life drastically improve from that? Or did you just learn a very obvious lesson that you should have learned, and it didn't really affect your life because it never came back into your grasp again? My thing is, when you see people that are just no good with human relationship in general, they just don't know how to talk to people, they don't know how to treat people, they don't really consider other people when making life decisions. There's something about people like that, and I've been that person before, that is enticing to others. I call it like the vampire effect, where you're almost drawn into them. People call it dark and mysterious. Like, during my drinking days, that's what people would always come up and be like, you're so mysterious just sitting over here by yourself drinking. Really, I wanted everyone's attention in the room, but I was so self-conscious that I wasn't going to say anything. I'd just sit there by myself, and if someone wanted to talk, they'll come up and say what's up. And it was always the dark and mysteriousness that brought them over. And then it's always the dark and mysteriousness that makes them leave, because you realize dark and mysterious is that. It's usually dark because of traumas, and it's mysterious because you don't know what trauma you're running from that's causing you the emotional baggage that you're carrying around that manifests itself in the behaviors that you do. And a lot like, I can feel for the Kanye, Kim, Pete thing, because lovers' quarrels are interesting. They can change the scope of your whole life. We look at it as a funny little celebrities being wild kind of thing, when in retrospect, I think we all know relationships, or getting into one, getting out of one, that it literally changed the whole landscape of your life. Like I was saying with mine, had I gone back to Ohio, Columbus, after joining the military and fixed a lot of problems, or if nothing else, just buckled down and got my shit together on my own, I would have made obviously different choices. Not saying that I wouldn't have landed where I now am, but I would have done it more under my own control and with less traumatic experiences that I put myself through by trying to mature too fast in life, right? It's easy when you have no upbringing, not no upbringing, but when you got a rocky foundation that you come up from, it's easy to go, when you get to be about 12, 13, you go, well, I'm going to do this shit different. Because you start to get the urge for the opposite sex, if that's your thing. It's mine. You start to get the urge for the opposite sex. You start to look around and you go, oh, husband, wife, got that. Baby, what's that? How do I do that? Bet. And then you start doing that. You don't have proper guidance and you make bad decisions, and you don't make bad decisions with the intention to hurt anybody, but like I had a kid at 17. So I was told. So like that drastically changed my life. I thought that was going to keep me homebound in Columbus, Ohio forever. They left, took the kid, took off. So I was drinking, doing whatever, not even realizing. This is not some night suffering drinking at a bar here. I'm a guy who's just not knowing what the fuck is going on in my life. I'm a young guy trying to just do what I can, which is nothing. I have no guidance of any kind. None. It's just, hey, figure this shit out. Figure your fucking life out. Get your shit together. That's the only guidance I'm getting. So then I go through basic. I meet this girl in basic. Everyone says, don't meet someone in basic. You're going to marry him. It's going to be a fucking nightmare. Guess what happened? Met someone, married her. It was a fucking nightmare. Now, of that, I have my oldest daughter, who I love so much, and I would never trade that. So that's one of the things where it's like, without all these fuck-ups, I don't have either one of my kids. My life is nothing without my kids. And I'm totally invested on being a good father now. But I also have to deal with, like, my kid is one of those people who I wish I was with 24/7. I wish she was always in the room with me, but she lives in another state. To the point where, like, even with my youngest, when I take her to daycare and when I'm doing this, I feel fucking terrible. I feel like the worst piece of shit dad because I'm trying to build something here. And while it doesn't, makes sense to a lot of people now why I'm doing this, a lot of people would probably be like, well, why don't you just hang out with your kids? Just don't make YouTube videos. It's like, okay, I can't choose to live by the short-sightedness of some people anymore, because there have been so many times that I chose not to bet on myself and my life fell to shit. Every single time I did bet on myself, sure, it took a lot of work. It took some years to recover from shit. But when you do things under your own understanding of the future that you're trying to build, and you don't just live moment by moment fucking shit up for everyone in every route that you're going, you find that things don't come falling down as often. Sure, things still happen. Flat tires happen. A rod's going to come flying through, so not only do you have to get a new tire, but you got to get a new fucking wheel. But it's like, the life also hands you that at the exact time that you can deal with it sometimes too. So for me, I'll keep it real with you guys. I got my tax refund thing back. So it's like, okay, yeah, that wouldn't have sucked, or that would have sucked 6 months ago had that happened. But now it's like not that bad. I'm stable. And, a very expensive trip to a tire shop is not gonna crush us, or is not gonna put me in a space where I gotta go hustle and do all this crazy shit that I don't want to do. But I understand, and I'm empathetic to the fact that that's not a lot of people's situation. A flat tire comes, and that's either a cash day pay advance, or you got to call the moms and pops to ask them to borrow this until this, and it gets you in a very stressful and uncomfortable position to live your life. And even that, right? Just that one day, I've been here in my life, right? Where, say your girl gets a flat tire. Now everyone's pissed for the whole goddamn day because you don't have the money to pay for it. You either have to go and do some payday advance loan or whatever, or you had to ask somebody for money. Now it's putting you, $600 back on next month, so you already know you're not getting ahead next month. And now you still got to figure out what to have for dinner tonight. God forbid you got kids in the mix of all this. But guys, that's fucking life for people. And then what? You got nothing going on. Work fucking is whatever. So now we're just on the phone scrolling, and then people wonder why they're out there stuck on their phones all the time. It's like, life is hard. Life is fucked up. It does exactly what it's going to do, which is it reacts to your every thought that turns to your action, that turns into who you fucking become. And it sucks because this life doesn't come with any owner's manual other than the people that bring you up. Those are your owner's manuals. And there's many different versions with a ton of different translations. And sometimes there's missing chapters where, they haven't experienced certain shit, so they don't know how to guide you there. Some things are uncharted territory still when it comes to journeys. While I believe no one's unique, sometimes in your immediate surroundings, there's no one with the knowledge of your exact situation. Somewhere in the world there will be, and that's why I think the internet is such a great place. But I'm starting to really lose hope that, the mass population of people want to see this shit survive. I think people are becoming cool with, hey, man, this bitch is going to burn down, so let's just let it burn. Let's just, fuck this. We're all probably going to die in nuclear war in a week anyway, so fuck it. Just, everyone just sit and do nothing. It's is that really what the fuck everyone would do? If y'all found out today that a nuclear bomb was going to drop on the world, kill everyone, we knew it, just like in that movie. No, that wasn't a bomb, that was a meteor, but Don't Look Up. If you knew that shit was coming, and fuck all, there is no next week, you'd really sit in your fucking house and just do nothing. Just be on TikTok looking at shit. Yo, for what, my guy? I'm genuinely asking. What in the motherfuck are people doing that is so important that we're letting the world fall to shit the way we are? It is fucking heartbreaking to watch. Tell me something good that's happened that affects the overall population of people. That's not fucking Tom Brady coming back for another season. We're in a rough place, man. We're in a rough place, and I don't know the cause of it. Outside of everyone turning their life into, like Rogan says, turn your life into your own movie. And everyone starts playing a main character role in your own shit and going, I'm dictating how this shit goes forward. Fuck what anyone says. Fuck what anyone thinks. I'm living for me, because for me always includes your family, right? I'm living for what I believe to be the best for my situation and my future. I have to make the best decisions for what I think is going to do right by everyone that's going to come after me here. I think we get so fucking caught up in playing this short game bullshit. How do I get to where I can have 3 kids, a house with a boat, 2 dogs by the time I'm 35 and my, paternal clock runs out? Healthy one. I don't know, man. I would love to see stuff. I would love to see submissions of stuff that people are doing. Send me the thing that you're starting, the business that you're starting, the craft you started making. I got a buddy that does woodworking, and I haven't checked in with him in a while to ask if he does it, but I'm going to do that today. And I just I respect the fuck out of stuff like that. I'm losing so much love and so much respect for this shit where it's well, what are you up to? Nothing, I just sit here. There's fucking coronas out here, and, I'm working remote, so I'm just at the house. You're at the house doing what, though? Oh, not shit, man. I was watching Game of Thrones for the 3rd time. My fucking click. What? Yo, you have to at least try. Everyone's dogged me my whole life because, you don't stick to one thing. You got too many interests. You got too many hobbies. How'd that serve y'all during the fucking pandemic when your one shits fell apart? You got to be able to go, hey, man, I used to skate. I used to drum. I used to do all these shits. I used to do stand-up comedy. How can I do that practically in my life today? How can I use that as a way to build my life forward on stable foundation for not only myself, but my kids, and make real change in the world? Even if my only change is that I could be a better father to my kids than anybody in my family line has seen to be. I don't want my kids growing up talking about I had a disconnection. Now, I'm already 2 steps behind on that one because I got a kid that lives in another fucking state. So you can see the pressure that real people find themselves under. But it's all about how you use it. I put all my energy of stress and worry and anxiety into this shit and trying to make it better, so that way I can not only help my situation, but hopefully I can help other people that may be going through similar shit. Because, life is tough out here. And I think a lot of people are suffering more just because of isolation, because there's a whole bunch of people not doing shit. We need to end that. And with that, I'm going to end this episode. I love you guys so much. I will check in with you on the next one.